Okay, so I want you to picture this scenario. It's a Tuesday night.
Oh, I already know where this is going.
Yeah, right. It's maybe 2 a.m. You're in Los Angeles.
The absolute worst time to be stuck.
Exactly. Maybe you parked on some quiet side street in Santa Monica, or you're in one of those dimly lit concrete lots in downtown.
Mm-hmm.
The streetlights are humming. There's that damp marine layer chill in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And you are standing outside your car, staring right through the driver's side window.
Yeah, let me guess.
Yep, there they are, your tees.
Just sitting there.
Resting on the driver's seat,
Yeah.
perfectly visible, completely mocking you.
That's a visceral feeling. It's that instant heavy drop in your stomach.
It's pure panic, right? Or maybe it's not your car. Maybe it's your front door.
Right, you step out to grab a package or the food delivery.
Yeah, and the door just clicks shut behind you, and you realize the deadbolt was engaged.
You are now officially the outsider.
Exactly. And in a massive, sprawling city like L.A.,
Oh.
that vulnerability just feels, I don't know, 10 times worse at night.
Yeah.
Honestly, my first instinct in that car scenario,
What? Find a rock.
find a rock and just smash the window.
Which is the very expensive instinct.
Right.
But it's totally natural. You feel trapped. But today, we're doing a deep dive into the people you call so you don't actually have to use that rock.
Thankfully.
We are looking at the really hidden world of 247 emergency locksmiths. And let me tell you, after combing through this whole stack of articles and technical guides for this dive,
It's a lot.
it is. This profession is way more complex than just, jiggling a key in a door.
It really is. Because I went into this thinking it was just a trade, like fixing a leaky pipe.
Right. Highly practical.
But the sources we pulled, they paint this picture of a job that sits right at this crazy intersection of mechanical engineering, digital security, and high-stakes emergency response.
That's a really great way to frame it. We completely overlook locksmiths until the exact second we need them. But a skilled locksmith is essentially a security engineer who just happens to operate out of a van.
A mobile hacker, almost.
Basically, they're selling peace of mind. And the industry itself is this fascinating mix of high trust.
Because you're literally letting them into your most private spaces.
Exactly, high trust and very high tech.
So before we get into the actual nitty-gritty of how they pick those locks and the really cool spy tech they use for modern cars, we do have to address the elephant in the room.
The practical side.
Right. If you are listening to this right now, and you are actually standing on a sidewalk in Los Angeles, staring at your keys on the seat,
You do not need a deep dive on mechanical engineering right now.
no, you need a solution. You need to get back inside safely. And looking at the local landscape for our LA listeners, the standout recommendation across our research is West Point Locksmith.
Yeah, they really came up as the real deal in the area.
They serve all of Los Angeles. They're incredibly fast, and crucially, they're reliable. We're going to talk a lot about scams later in this dive.
It's just terrifying, by the way.
It is. So knowing who to call before that 2 a.m. panic sets in is everything. If you're stuck, the number is 310-295-4040.
And just looking at their profile during our research, those 5-star reviews are huge.
Yeah.
In an industry that can be, frankly, a bit of a Wild West, having a consistent track record for professionalism is everything.
Absolutely.
They're available 24/7 to keep your home, business, and vehicle secure. So that's West Point Locksmith, 310-295-4040.
Okay, so let's unpack the magic trick here. How do they actually get in?
The mechanics.
Yeah, because I think most of us have this movie idea in our heads, right? Where the spy takes a paperclip, wiggles it for 2 seconds, and the heavy vault door just swings open.
Hollywood has ruined our perception of locks.
Completely. But the sources, especially that really dense MIT guide to lockpicking we looked at,
Such a good document.
it describes it much more like solving a puzzle blindfolded.
It is absolutely a tactile puzzle. It's not about brute force at all. It's about extreme finesse. To understand how they get in, you kind of have to visualize what's happening inside that little metal cylinder on your door.
Okay, so standard house key. Walk me through the anatomy.
Right, so most standard doors use what's called a pin tumbler lock.
Pin tumbler, got it.
Imagine a series of vertical shafts drilled straight down into the lock. Inside each of those shafts is a tiny spring and a pin.
Okay.
But the pin isn't just one solid piece of metal. It's actually cut in half.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you have the key pin on the bottom. That's the part that actually touches your key when you slide it in. And then you have the driver pin resting right on top of it.
And when the door is locked and the key is out, those driver pins are the problem, right?
Precisely. They're sitting halfway between the plug.
The plug being the part that actually turns.
Exactly. They sit between the plug and the housing, which is the stationary outer shell. So they're effectively bridging that gap.
Pinning it in place.
Pinning it in place so it physically cannot rotate.
So the whole goal of the jagged edge on your key is to push those pins up.
Right. The key is basically a physical map. The peaks and valleys lift each of those pin stacks to a very specific height.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
When the tiny gap between the bottom key pin and the top driver pin aligns perfectly with the edge of the plug.
Is that the shear line?
That is the shear line, the magic boundary.
Huh.
When all of them line up on that shear line, the obstruction is gone. The plug can turn.
It's brilliant. It's simple but brilliant.
It is. Now, here is where it gets really fascinating to me as an engineering concept.
Okay.
In a theoretical, mathematically perfect world, a lock actually couldn't be picked.
Wait, really?
Really. If everything was machined to a 0.00001% tolerance, you couldn't manipulate it with tools.
But we don't live in a mathematically perfect world.
No, we rely on mass manufacturing, factories pumping out thousands of these a day.
And the sources called this the binding defect, right? I found this so interesting. Basically, the holes drilled in the lock aren't perfectly in a straight line.
They never are. They are microscopic distances off, maybe a fraction of a millimeter.
Just from the drill bit wandering slightly at the factory?
Exactly. So when you try to turn the lock without the proper key in it, the plug doesn't hit all those pins at the exact same time.
Oh, I see. It hits one of them first.
It hits one pin first, and that specific pin gets pinched. It's what we call binding.
So it becomes the weak link?
It is the weak link, and this is how the locksmith exploits it. They start by inserting a tension wrench.
That's the little L-shaped piece of metal.
Yes, and this is important. The tension wrench is actually the most critical tool, not the pick itself.
Because it creates that pinch.
Right. They apply a tiny, tiny bit of rotational pressure with that wrench, just enough to feel resistance.
They're essentially trying to turn the door open while it's still locked.
Yes. And while holding that light pressure, they take a pick, usually a hook pick, and reach deep inside the keyway to just gently feel the bottoms of the pins.
They're looking for the pinched one.
They're looking for the stiff one, the one that's binding. And when they find it, they push it up gently against the spring until click.
I can almost hear it. That click is the driver pin getting trapped above the shear line.
Exactly. Because of that rotational tension they're holding with the wrench, the plug turns a microscopic amount the instant that pin clears the line.
Creating a tiny ledge.
A tiny ledge that the driver pin rests on. It can't fall back down. Now that pin is officially set.
Wow. And then will they just find the next one?
Then they feel around for the next binding pin.
Because turning it that microscopic amount caused another pin to get pinched.
You've got it. It's a sequence. Find the stiff one, click it. Find the next stiff one, click it.
That's incredible.
It's called single pin picking. It's a very slow, deliberate process of just exploiting those tiny manufacturing errors one by one.
But there are faster ways too, right? I saw something called raking.
Yeah, raking is where they use a squiggly-looking tool to basically scrub the pins back and forth quickly.
Just bouncing them around.
Bouncing them up and down rapidly while applying tension, relying on probability that they'll get caught on that ledge, but the underlying principle of the shear line remains exactly the same.
And then comes the pop.
Yeah.
The sources actually talked about the physical satisfaction of the pop when the plug finally gives way.
Oh, it's the moment the puzzle is solved. Every lockpicker talks about that feeling.
But the real key takeaway here, and I think this is so crucial for anyone listening who might need to hire a locksmith, is that this entire process we just described is non-destructive.
Non-destructive entry, yes. A true professional's goal is to manipulate the lock, to outsmart it, not to destroy it.
Which is a huge distinction to make, because I saw several mentions in the source material about drilling.
Right. Drilling is what the industry calls destructive entry.
And that's bad.
Well, if a locksmith walks up to your standard residential front door and immediately pulls out a Makita power drill without even shining a light down the keyway.
Red flag.
Massive red flag.
Because once you run a drill bit through that cylinder,
yeah,
the lock is garbage, right?
Yeah. The lock is completely gone. The pins are shredded. You have to buy a brand new lock assembly.
So a skilled pro won't do that.
A skilled pro will always spend time attempting to pick it or rake it or bypass it first. Drilling is the absolute last resort.
Like, when would it actually be necessary?
If a lock has completely mechanically failed, like a spring rusted and snapped inside so it physically can't be picked, Or if it's a very specific, high-end, commercial, high-security model that is explicitly designed with trap pins to be unpickable.
Got it. So if it's just a normal Tuesday and they're drilling your standard deadbolt immediately, they're probably just lazy.
Lazy, lacking the actual skill to pick it,
Yeah.
or, and this is very common, they're trying to upsell you on buying a new lock from them.
Oh, of course. Creating the problem so they can sell you the solution.
And it costs the customer significantly more money that way.
Okay, so that's houses.
Mhm.
Mechanical pins, springs, ledges. But cars. Cars feel like a totally different beast these days.
Oh, automotive locksmithing is wild.
I mean, my car doesn't even have a normal keyhole on the door handle anymore. It's just this smooth painted surface. If I lock my fob inside that thing, you can't just pick it. Or can you?
Well, you often can. There is usually a hidden keyway under a plastic cap, but the entry methods have evolved so much. Let's start with your scenario. The locked keys inside.
Okay.
The most common tool you'll actually see a mobile locksmith use today for that isn't a metal pick at all. It's a wedge and a pump.
Is this the airbag thing? I've seen videos of this. It looks literally like a blood pressure cuff.
That is exactly what it looks like, and essentially what it is.
How does that work?
They take a stiff plastic wedge, usually coated so it doesn't scratch the paint, and they pry the top corner of the car door frame out, just a millimeter.
Just enough to slide that flat, deflated bag in.
Exactly. They slide the bag into the crack, and then they start squeezing the little rubber hand pump.
And as it inflates.
As the bag inflates, with incredible force, it pushes the top of the door frame away from the rubber weather stripping on the car body.
That sounds terrifying. Doesn't that bend the metal door?
Honestly, if you aren't careful, yes. You can permanently warp the frame or snap the internal window glass.
Yikes.
Which is exactly why you want a trained professional doing it, not just a guy who bought an airbag on Amazon.
Fair point.
But once they safely create that half-inch gap at the top of the window,
They can reach in.
right, they slide in what's called a long reach tool. It's basically a thick rubber-coated rod, and they use it to physically hit the electronic unlock button on the armrest or hook the inside door handle and pull.
Okay, so that's a bit of brute force mixed with finesse.
Yeah, it's physical bypassing.
But what about the absolute nightmare scenario? The sources called it all keys lost.
Just hearing that phrase chills the blood of car owners everywhere. All keys lost.
Because if I lose my only fob somewhere in the sand at the beach, I have absolutely nothing left to copy. How in the world does a locksmith make a key from thin air?
This is where we get into the real James Bond stuff in the industry. Enter a device called the Lishi tool.
Lishi. I spent way too much time looking at photos of this thing in the research.
It's strange looking, isn't it?
It looks like a complex metal ruler or a scale with all these little levers on it.
It is a brilliant, brilliant piece of engineering. A Lishi tool is what they call a two-in-one device.
Meaning it picks and reads.
Exactly. It slides perfectly into the car's exterior lock cylinder. It has a tiny little pick arm on a swivel, but it also has a grid printed on the outside handle with a pointer needle.
And that grid tells them what's happening blindly inside the door.
Yes, it allows the locksmith to literally read the lock. So instead of just feeling blindly for a click, like with a house door, they can visually see the depth of each wafer inside the car lock.
Because cars use wafers instead of pins.
Right. So the locksmith moves the arm, feels the first wafer, pushes it, and looks at the grid. The pointer might say, okay, the depth here is a 3.
Wow.
Then they slide to the next wafer. Okay, that depth is a 1.
They are essentially decoding the lock's DNA right there on the street.
Without taking the door apart, they just write down the numbers. 3, 1, 4, 2, 2.
And what do they do with that code?
They go to the back of their van, punch that numerical code into an automated, computerized key-cutting machine.
That's wild.
And the machine whirs to life and cuts a completely fresh metal blade that turns your door lock perfectly.
Incredible. But wait, hold on. Modern cars have that transponder system.
Ah, the immobilizer.
Yeah. If I just stick a random, freshly cut piece of metal into my ignition, the car isn't going to start, is it? It needs the computer chip inside the plastic head.
And this is the digital layer. This is why modern locksmiths are really functioning as mobile IT specialists.
Because they have to program it.
Right. Since about the mid-90s, almost all cars have used immobilizers. The metal key turns the mechanical ignition, but a little antenna coil around the keyhole sends out a radio signal.
Asking for a password.
Asking for a digital password. And if the tiny microchip inside your key fob doesn't whisper the exact right encrypted code back, the car's computer just cuts power to the fuel pump. It will crank all day, but it won't fire.
So the locksmith literally has to hack the car's computer.
Essentially, yes. They plug a high-end diagnostic programmer tablet brands, like Autel or Smart Pro, directly into your car's OBD port.
That's the little plug usually hidden up under the dashboard by your knees.
Exactly, the onboard diagnostics port. They connect the tablet, and they have to bypass the manufacturer's security software to tell the car's brain, hey, I'm an authorized admin.
Forget the old keys that are lost at the beach.
Forget those, they're gone. Introduce this brand new blank key to the system.
I was actually reading about this exact process in the source material, and there was this great story from a source identified as Captain Lockpick.
Oh yeah, I assume that's a pseudonym for the article.
Definitely. But he's an industry educator, an investigator who writes about these digital vulnerabilities. And he shared this fascinating anecdote about verifying his programming work.
Right, because you can't just guess if it worked.
Exactly. He was programming a key for some high-security vehicle, and he said he didn't just blindly trust the little green success message on his tablet screen.
What did he do?
He went in and checked the security count.
Oh, that's smart. That's a pro move.
Yeah, he went deep into the car's live data stream on the tablet to look at the actual number of keys currently paired to that specific vehicle. Before he started, the computer said 2.
So it recognized 2 keys existed in the world.
Right. He ran the whole complicated programming sequence with the new key and then went back into the data stream to see if that number clicked over to 3.
Verifying the digital handshake actually took place.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
because he needed to confirm the car's brain had fully accepted the transplant.
And that is a great example of the level of detail and tech savvy involved now. If a tech doesn't verify that properly, they might leave you with a physical key that opens the driver's door perfectly, but leaves you completely stranded with a dead engine in a parking garage.
It's an intense blend of old school, mechanical skill, and modern IT work. But, and unfortunately there is a big but here,
There usually is.
where there is desperation and where there is money-changing hands late at night, there are predators.
We have to talk about the locksmith scam.
Yeah, we do.
Reading this section of the research was honestly infuriating.
It's a massive systemic problem. The industry often refers to it as the lead generation scam, and we're not just talking about a few bad apples doing shoddy work.
No, the sources made it sound like organized crime in some cases.
It basically is. It's incredibly coordinated.
So how does the trap actually work? Because if I'm locked out at 2 a.m., I'm just pulling out my phone and Googling locksmith near me.
And that is exactly the behavior they are counting on. You search locksmith near me, the algorithm spits out a local listing at the very top.
Okay.
It usually has a very generic keyword-stuffed name, something like A1247 Locksmith Services or AAA Emergency Local Locksmith.
Something designed to just win an alphabetical search or a keyword match. Exactly. And these scam rings will place hundreds of fake business pins on Google Maps, so it looks like they have a physical storefront right down the street from where you are standing.
But if you drive to that address,
It's a vacant lot, or a 7-Eleven, or just a random residential house. There is no shop.
wow. So I clicked the number on this fake local listing.
Right. And when you call, you aren't talking to a local dispatcher in Los Angeles. You are talking to a massive call center.
Probably overseas or in another state entirely.
Very often. And the call center agent's only job is to get the hook in you. They will quote you an impossibly ridiculously low price.
I saw this in the articles. They'll say the service call is just $15.
$15 or $29.
Which, if you think about it for 2 seconds, should be a massive red flag.
Oh, completely.
No highly skilled tradesperson is driving 20 miles across LA traffic at 2 a.m. for $15. I can't even get a pizza delivered for that anymore.
Exactly. It's pure bait.
Yeah.
But you're desperate, so you agree.
Okay, so I agree. Then what?
Then the dispatcher sends the job to a local subcontractor. The technician arrives, and usually they pull up in a completely unmarked personal vehicle. No company logo, maybe wearing sweatpants, no uniform at all.
Another red flag.
A huge one. They walk up to your door, take one quick glance at your incredibly standard residential quickset or Schlage lock.
The kind of lock a real pro could pick in 2 minutes.
Exactly. But this guy shakes his head, he looks at you and says, oh man, this is a commercial grade lock, or this is high security, I can't pick this.
Claiming it's unpickable to justify what comes next.
Oh, right. And here comes the drill.
The destructive entry we talked about earlier.
Yep. They immediately pull out a power drill and absolutely destroy your lock.
And once it's destroyed, you're stuck with them.
You are a captive audience. The door is open, but your house is now completely unsecured.
Yeah.
Then comes the switch.
The bait and switch.
That original $15 service call fee, oh, that was just to drive there. Now there's a $200 labor charge for the drilling.
Unbelievable.
Plus, they just happen to have a replacement lock in their trunk, which they'll sell to you for $250, claiming it's a heavy-duty model.
Let me guess. It's actually a cheap $10 knockoff.
Almost always.
And suddenly the guy who promised to unlock your door for $15 is handing you an invoice for $500.
And this is where it gets aggressive. The sources noted they very often demand cash. Or they'll force you to use Venmo or Zelle or Cash App.
Why? Because you can't do a credit card chargeback on Zelle?
Precisely. Once the money is sent, it's gone. It is pure predatory extortion.
That is genuinely terrifying because in that moment, standing in the dark, you are so vulnerable. You just want to get inside and go to sleep.
And they leverage that exhaustion and fear.
So if someone is listening to this, what are the actionable red flags they need to memorize right now?
First, listen very closely to how they answer the phone. If the dispatcher just says locksmith service or service center instead of a specific company name, ask them directly, what is the legal name of your business?
And if they stumble or get defensive.
Hang up immediately. Second, look for branded vehicles and proper uniforms. And third, and this is the most important one, if they show up and want to drill a standard lock immediately without even attempting to pick it with actual tools, tell them to stop, pack up, and leave.
Just refuse the service.
Just refuse it. Pay them the $15 travel fee if you have to, just to get them away from your property and call someone else.
Which brings us right back to why having a trusted name ready to go is so critical. We mentioned West Point Locksmith earlier.
Right. This scam ecosystem is exactly why you want a specific, vetted number saved in your contacts before you are ever standing outside in the cold.
Transparency and reputation matter so much here. A legitimate local company like West Point relies heavily on those real 5-star reviews.
They do. They aren't trying to burn a customer for a quick $500 extortion payout. They want to be the business you happily recommend to your neighbor at a barbecue next week.
Exactly. And they do everything, right? It's not just breaking into locked cars.
Oh, no. They are full-service professionals. Emergency entry, sure.
Yeah.
But also rekeying entire buildings, installing smart locks, duplicating high-tech car fobs. They are a legitimate security partner.
So honestly, do yourself a favor right now. Just open your phone contacts, type in the word locksmith, and save this number, 310-295-4040.
That's West Point Locksmith.
Don't wait until you're desperate at 2 a.m. to blindly Google it, or you might end up with a guy in sweatpants and a drill. Again, 310-295-4040.
And you know, that really leads nicely into what you can do beyond just the emergency lockout scenario, because locksmiths aren't just for when things go terribly wrong.
Right.
They're there for keeping your home secure proactively.
Which brings up something I learned from the sources that I honestly didn't know before today.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel kind of silly admitting this on the show.
What's that?
Rekeying.
Ah.
I always thought that if I lost a house key or if I moved into a brand new apartment, I had to drive to Home Depot and buy 3 brand new brass deadbolt assemblies.
That is such a common misconception. And a very expensive one.
Right. So what is rekeying mechanically?
You actually almost never need to replace the physical hardware on your door unless it's genuinely broken or you just want a different color brass.
Oh, yeah.
Remember those microscopic pins we talked about earlier? The tiny puzzle pieces inside the cylinder?
The key pins and driver pins, yeah.
Rekeying is simply a locksmith taking your existing lock cylinder out of the door, opening it up, dumping all the old pins into the trash, and dropping in a brand new combination of pins of different lengths.
And those new pins match a completely different, newly cut key.
Exactly.
So the lock looks completely identical on the outside of the door, but the old key is now entirely useless.
If you stick the old key in, it won't even turn a millimeter. It is significantly cheaper than buying all new hardware, and it's much faster.
And it's so important for security.
Yeah.
Because if you move into a new rental house in LA, you have literally no idea who has a copied key from the last 5 years.
None. The dog walkers, the old contractors, previous tenants, the neighbor's kid who used to water the plants.
Yeah, that's creepy. You should rekey immediately upon moving in.
Immediately.
Now, what about the future of this whole industry? Because walking around my neighborhood, I am seeing smart locks everywhere. I actually have one on my back door.
They are incredibly popular now.
I love it. I just type a PIN code,
Yeah.
or my phone unlocks it via Bluetooth. I don't even carry house keys most days. But doesn't that trend eventually put traditional locksmiths out of business?
You'd think so, but not at all. It just completely changes their job description.
How so?
We are seeing this massive industry-wide shift toward keyless entry, biometrics, app-based unlocking, but this forces the modern locksmith to evolve into an IT integrator for your house.
Because it's not just about the heavy metal deadbolt being strong anymore.
No, it's about the digital connection being secure.
The Wi-Fi.
Right. The sources highlight some genuinely scary vulnerabilities with these consumer smart locks. A traditional locksmith 50 years ago looked for weak wooden door frames or flimsy strike plates.
But a modern locksmith.
A modern locksmith has to look at the door and ask, is this lock running the latest encrypted firmware? Is it connected to a secure, password-protected Wi-Fi network, or is it exposed?
Right, because a modern burglar doesn't need to learn how to single-pin pick if they can just sit in their car on the street and hack your router.
Exactly. There are documented instances in the research where smart locks have been completely compromised remotely because the homeowner left the default factory password on the app.
Oh, man.
So a true professional locksmith today has to ensure the physical metal bolt works smoothly and that the invisible digital gate is locked tight. They are verifying encryption standards as much as they are checking shear lines.
That's a huge responsibility.
It is.
It seems like vetting in this industry is really a two-way street. We talked extensively about how we, the customers, need to vet the locksmith to avoid getting scammed.
Right.
But the sources also mention that a real professional locksmith should actually be vetting you.
Yes. This is a crucial safety and legal tip that people very often forget or get offended by. If a locksmith shows up to your house and just cheerfully opens your front door without asking for a single piece of ID, that is massive negligence.
Well, yeah, because otherwise they're just acting as a highly trained professional burglar for hire.
Exactly. They could be letting a stalker into someone's home. They could be letting an angry ex-partner into an apartment they don't live in anymore.
That's a terrifying thought.
A legitimate pro will always ask to see your driver's license, and they will ensure the address on the ID matches the physical house they are unlocking.
What if you're locked out of a car?
Same principle. They might use the airbag and rod to pop the door open for you so you can get out of the cold, but before they ever hand over a newly cut key or let you put the car in drive, they are going to dive straight into that glove box and check the vehicle registration.
Make sure your name matches the paperwork.
Exactly.
That makes total sense. It's an essential layer of protection for everybody involved. And speaking of safety, just practically speaking, if one of our listeners is stranded late at night in LA, what is the best move while they wait that 30 minutes for the dispatch tech to arrive?
It really depends on your immediate surroundings. If you're locked out of your car in a dark lot, try to move to a well-lit area if possible. A gas station, a 24-hour diner.
Just get out of the shadows.
Right. And if you can, stay on the phone with a friend or family member so someone actively knows your location and status.
What if it's your house?
If you're locked out of your house, stay inside your car if it's accessible and locked, or go knock on a trusted neighbor's door.
Just don't wait in the bushes.
Exactly. Do not stand completely alone in a dark driveway or an unlit alley for 45 minutes if you can avoid it. The entire goal is to minimize your physical vulnerability while you wait for help.
That's incredibly good practical advice. So to kind of wrap up this whole deep dive, it really feels like locksmiths are the unspoken fourth emergency service.
They really are. We have police, fire, paramedics.
And then the person who gets you back inside when the whole world has basically locked you out.
Yeah. They turn what could be a genuinely traumatizing day or a really terrifying, dangerous night into just a minor inconvenience, a relief story.
Using a mix of ancient mechanics and modern code.
It's amazing. And pins and springs that honestly haven't changed much in a century, combined with modern computer programming, all to solve a very basic, very human problem of just wanting to go home.
And if you are in the Los Angeles area, we really want to remind you one last time of the fantastic resource we've highlighted today, West Point Locksmith.
Fast, highly reliable, and deeply professional. They are serving all of Los Angeles with those verified 5-star reviews we talked about.
They're the ones who will actually verify your ownership, who won't just pull out a drill on a whim, and who have the tech to handle even the most complicated modern transponder keys.
Call them at 310-295-4040. Seriously, do not wait until you are stranded on a curb at 3 a.m. to find a number. Save it to your phone right now. 310-295-4040.
And before we sign off, I know you had a final thought you wanted to share, something that came up during your analysis of all these security sources.
Yeah, I did. And it's a bit philosophical, but it really stuck with me.
Okay, let's hear it.
We spend a lot of time and a lot of money thinking about locks as these impenetrable, magical barriers.
Right.
We buy the thickest steel deadbolt on the shelf, we install the most expensive Wi-Fi alarm system, and we feel totally safe. But structurally speaking, a lock is really only as good as the time it buys you.
What do you mean by that? The time it buys you.
Every single lock in the world can be picked given enough time. Every vault can be cracked. Every encrypted digital system can eventually be bypassed by someone smart enough.
There's no such thing as an unpickable lock.
There is no such thing as perfect security. The true security actually comes from the layers you build. The motion lights, the cameras, the sturdy doors, the watchful neighbors.
The whole ecosystem.
Yes. But ironically, when those security layers work a little too well, and you find yourself standing on the outside looking in, shivering on your own porch,
Yeah.
your truest security in that exact moment is knowing a trustworthy, ethical professional who holds the keys to get you back inside.
Wow. That is a really great perspective. It's about layers, and it's about having the right people in your corner when the layers keep you out. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today. Stay safe out there, everyone. And seriously, hold on to your keys.